All right, so we will be presenting to you St. Louis, Missouri. She is Laura, 0% Umunzungu, and then Kyle, half Umunzungu. All right, so the origins of St. Louis. So between the years of 200 and 1400, the region was a Native American settlement for the Mississippian tribe. In the 1600s, once the French started invading, the city became a popular fur trading spot because of its proximity to the Mississippi River, yeah. In 1763, St. Louis was founded as a city as part of the St. Louis Council. During the 1800s, the city saw a great deal of expansion. Since it was geographically part of the South, however, it remained a agricultural and cotton farming region, so it was a slave state. During the American Civil War, it was under control of the North, so the Union, even though it was geographically part of the South. And in 1876, it became its own city, separating itself from the St. Louis Council after 114 years of its creation.
Wow.
World War II, it was a popular spot for ammunition factories as well as plane manufacturing parts. So they would create bullets and plane parts there. It was home to a pretty popular Negro fighter. His name was Wendell Pruitt. He managed to shoot down many enemy aircraft as well as ground targets, so he was a fighter pilot. During and after the war, so the acceptance for African Americans in St. Louis was still pretty scarce, but once the war started, and even after the war, it started to settle down a bit, but it was still a pretty segregated part of the world. And so during the 1930s, so this is where our book comes into play. So during the Depression, since St. Louis was an agricultural city, most of its crops were ruined due to the dust bowls that swept across the prairies. And that caused a lot of financial problems for farmers, as well as in the city, for the city folk, due to the stock market crash. They were also reduced to nothing. For the whites, there was a 30% unemployment rate, but for the African Americans, this number was 80%. During this part of the city's history, this is when crime rates started to go through the roof, because there was a lack of law enforcement, so therefore police, in all parts of the town. And it became kind of a wasteland because nothing was being refurbished, so there was no maintenance being done to the city. So it kind of just went to trash. Today, in 2011, the population was of 318,069 people, 69, and this number keeps dropping, however, because of its unfavorable state of being, environment, thank you. The number keeps dropping. It actually dropped 10% between 2005 and 2010, which is a pretty big number. It is the 27th largest city in the United States. And in the 1930s, however, it was the 1860s, when it was first settled, it was the 4th largest city, so it dropped quite a bit. And it was also rated in 2011 the most dangerous city in the United States with the highest crime rate since 2010. So
I'm going to be talking about St. Louis, Missouri in relation to the book. And in the book, we find that it actually becomes hard because St. Louis is such a small part of the book. It's actually only 3 chapters, but it actually has a great impact on the book. Do you guys remember what happened in St. Louis?
She got raped.
So considering this, we put a lot of emphasis into the crime aspect of St. Louis. So do you guys think that Maya Angelou really effectively represented St. Louis in this time in the book?
Yes.
And how?
Yeah, because literally the only time where she gets hurt physically in a way is in St. Louis, Missouri, so it represents the crime rate, or the crime in that city, because she gets hurt.
And then the fact that, what was his name again? Yeah, he gets killed in the streets after the crime that he committed. It's another crime on him, so it's kind of like another step.
Yeah, and also the fact that he was sent to jail and then released like the next day, sent out of bail. That just shows how little law enforcement there was in that time.
Also the fact that the family was like, the grandmother was like a corrupt police officer and all that stuff, that also links back to the crime rate and how there was not any law